Good afternoon. I'm already having a bad hair day. I just got off the bike and in traditional form. Got to turn the light on. Well, got fresh batteries in it. We're feeling good. It's Thursday. I've got shorts on. The weather's beautiful. First of all, today, we're starting with story time as people file in. I got to give a shout out, man. I won't say which one, but my local GO station here in the suburbs of the Toronto area. I'm telling you, Mike, the guy that works the Lost and Found at my local station, if somehow he's a viewer of the show, I need your phone number so that I can like buy you a beer or something, or like Uber Eats you a dinner one night, because I had to run some errands, so I walked to the GO station to pick up the car. Doesn't matter why. And somehow in the process, I lost my wallet. And I go back the next morning. I am of the understand. I've locked all my credit cards, everything. I am of the understanding it's gone. I've got to do everything all over again, and it's going to be a nightmare. I go to the GO station. I go to the help desk, and I go, hey, just a shot in the dark. Did anybody turn in a wallet? And they go, you got to go talk to Mike over there. I go to Mike. Mike goes, what's your name? I tell him. He's like, I'll be back in a minute. Comes out holding my wallet with a clipboard. And he's just like, you just got to sign here. The really funny part is he asked me to confirm my identity. He's like, can you show me ID? And so I started like going through my phone to like pull up an electrical bill or something to like prove I am who I say I am. And he just goes, oh no, you can just pull the driver's license out of the wallet. I mean, I did give an oddly specific description of what my wallet looked like. And so I guess he must have known, like, obviously this is his. But yeah, big shout out. I needed to say, because like we hear so many stories about how awful the world is and how terrible everything is and how awful everything is and everything's going into the dumpster and everything like that. And I find I try to be a little more optimistic, and like sometimes the nicest things in the world happen. And whoever turned it in, I don't even know who it is. They were like, I don't know, just we weren't here. We're working shifts. We don't know. So I don't know who did it, but if you did it, I mean, I'm sure someone will claim to do it in the chat. But if that's the case, good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But unless you can confirm it, I don't know. I can't Uber Eats your food. But anyway, so Mike, the Lost and Found guy, I owe you a lot. That legitimately was like one of those mental states where I was like, this is not what I need right now. I have way too much going on in my life to do others, to deal with going to Service Ontario a bunch of times and like getting everything like it would, yeah, not fun. So that lifted the mood, felt awesome. And to celebrate, I recorded all of the remaining scouting reports yesterday, so they're all in the hands of the editing team. We got one at least coming today for subscribers. Hopefully two. My editor broke one of them, but we'll fix it. It's in the process of being fixed. And the rest are all recorded. We got 3 coming out next week. We got 1 tomorrow, and then 3 more the week after that. And then that leads us into the final week of the year, which will be like the community mock draft, which, by the way, is now open for registration, but only to scouching.ca subscribers through the Discord server. So if you want to participate and for sure get a spot in the mock draft, which is happening the Monday of the draft week, which I believe is the 22nd, 21st? 22nd. If you want to get in on that, now's the time to get yourself a subscription. A few of the spots are already filled, so that'll open up to the public not next week, but the week after, if there are open slots. As well, what else is going on? We did goalie day on Tuesday in the Discord server, which was a lot of fun. Went through a bunch of goalies and had some input from experts, so to speak, which is really, really fun as well. We had a good time. And what was I going to say? What else? On the last week before the draft, obviously, what we're going to do as well is by the time this is like processed and archived on YouTube. Like if you don't watch this live and you're watching it later, we'll have all of the YouTube videos scheduled, if you will, for the draft week. So we're going to be doing live shows at least Friday, Saturday, Monday, Thursday. Maybe we do even more than that. I'm not sure, but at least 4, and we'll schedule those today so you can set your reminders early, get those done, and at least by the time on Monday. On Monday we'll have all of those up, and I'll remind you again on Monday. But yeah, we also, as well, I should mention this as well, especially for you beloved live listeners and viewers of the show, we are going to be doing a 25% off sale on scouching.ca if you want a subscription, but it hasn't started yet. It will be it'll be next week, and it'll run until the end of the month. So if you want a bit of a discount on your first payment, then whether it's monthly or annually, you can do it then. So unless you want to pay me the full amount now, that's great. But we're gonna be doing a sale. And if you don't watch the show live, don't say I didn't warn you. I don't know what I'm saying. But the point is, we do it every year, and so I scheduled that in not too long ago. And that will also extend to merchandise as well. So if you go to scouchwear.com, all that stuff will be also on sale during the same time frame. So, how are we all feeling? I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling, honestly. Things are crazy. Things are busy. We're in the home stretch. I've seen that Cam Robinson updated his scouting poll, and there's a lot of stuff in there that I definitely expected. Subscribed half an hour ago. Oh no. I'm sorry. Oh dear. Oh, sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, what was I saying? Cam Robinson poll is out. That's always been a fun thing to read through. I saw Scott Wheeler did a profile on Mathis Preston. That was a lot of fun to read through as well. And yeah, we're in it here. We're having a good time. We're right down at the end of the line here. I think I'm done with the tracking work. I'm pretty sure that, I'm looking at the guys I have in my folder that I haven't gotten to yet, and it's like, am I really going to change my mind on any of these guys? I don't think the answer to that is yes. So someone next, or we'll see next week. Yeah, but I get the feeling that now it'll be refining the rankings, finalizing everything, and getting everything organized for the last week. But lots and lots of data this year, lots and lots of fun, and yeah, just be prepared. Okay, let's see. We got some chats here, obviously. Obviously, that's the whole point of this whole thing. We got a couple things about Patrick Waugh. Yeah, so Patrick Waugh rumored to be interviewing for head coach in Toronto. He's among many, I imagine. Oh, by the way, I am so sorry. I forgot to turn off my dehumidifier. These headphones are really good at canceling noise. So my mistake, my bad. Sorry about the background hum. Unless you couldn't hear it, but I can't imagine you couldn't. I compressed the hell out of this. Yeah, Patrick Waugh is among the people interviewed for head coach for Toronto. With coaches, I don't know. Islanders fans that I know, there are a few in the Discord server, they seem to be pretty lukewarm or cool on Patrick Waugh as a head coach. I personally think that Patrick Waugh as head coach in Toronto would be hilarious. It would be like the funniest option. Like, the Leafs are on a streak of doing the funniest stuff. Hiring John Chayka, hiring Judd Brackett, I would argue, is really funny in a good way. Getting the first overall pick in the lottery, really funny. And, like Mitch Marner, maybe a Conn Smythe Trophy winner, hilarious. Like, they're on a roll of comedy here. And not in a way where it's like point and laugh and haha, but like just like a very entertaining ride. And so now you've got maybe Patrick Waugh. Like, Patrick Waugh versus those like Toronto media scrums, they're not like they used to be, I don't think. Like, back when the Leafs were like really awful. Like when I was younger, there was a lot of like, when like Steve Simmons and Dave Feschuk and Howard Berger were like the Mount Rushmore of just awful media coverage of the team. And they thrived when the team sucked. Those guys, with Patrick Waugh, if they were still around, would be epic, but I don't think we're doing that. But it would be really, really funny. Yeah. Thoughts on McKenna's podcast interview with Central Scouting, comments at Shaka meeting with him in the Yukon, and the quote that McKenna said about Toronto. I think they've got their combine after this. Hey, yeah, I caught that too. Maybe it's all a ploy. Maybe McKenna's just trying to get Toronto to lose their first overall pick. He's like, I'd rather go to San Jose. I don't want Toronto to pick me, so I'm going to tell the league that they're doing illegal stuff. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm sure Toronto, there is such a thing as teams doing event. I know I've been to one for Toronto, but like teams doing events off the schedule that you don't see, that kind of happen off to the side. And so I get the feeling that Toronto is doing some level of their own evaluations, but I don't know. Maybe he meant to say, I don't know what to say, but hey, I'm sure the NHL, if they care, is gonna be paying attention on that one. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that happens again? Oh man, if that happens again, if that happens again, then my John Chayka, I would say lukewarmness to the idea of hiring him. If that happens again and it gets caught and it's a huge problem again, that would be. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. That would be tricky. But we'll see. I'm sure the NHL would not hesitate at a chance to stick it to that guy again. Thoughts on the USHL going out west? Dude, I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I like, it's a logical step. And I know that when I was in Madison doing the USHL draft with them, the league there, like, they weren't scared of what's going on with regards to the Canadian Hockey League and all that. And I know they did, Glenn Heffernan, the commissioner, did an interview that was pretty good about how the plan to expand is about like being competitive and staying competitive and all that, and bringing in some different markets and everything. And I mean, look, I think it makes a ton of sense. I mean, again, I think that a lot of these things, like in the world in general, like you just think about incentives. The whole world runs on incentives. And if you're a young player, you know, I'll say this, it matters how much money is being spent on these teams. Like if it's just going to be like a community run little tiny team in like Carson City, Nevada, like that's one thing where I'd be like, okay, like, I don't know if this is going to do much. But like if something like ASU does a partnership with the USHL, or if the Golden Knights or something, and have some sort of community organization where they help fund a team and give them the resources to train and everything, like make them like actually desirable teams and organizations to play for. It's absolutely the case where I think it would attract not just Americans from leaving to go to Canada to play in Canada, which they are now, but it would also, like, I think, attract some Canadians. Like, if you want to go play college hockey in the US and you're 17 years old, you played your 16-year-old season in Prince George, and in the USHL draft, for example, you get offered a contract or something to play a year in Tempe or Anaheim or Vegas or whatever. That sounds pretty tantalizing. If the program is good and you trust the coach and everything, I could see how that might attract you. You know, a lot. It would attract you a lot more. With all due respect, it would attract you a lot more than going to like Des Moines or Dubuque or Omaha. You know what I mean? Like, look, I personally like those places that I've been to in the USHL, the markets there. Like, I actually kind of like Nebraska. I thought Omaha was really cool when I was there, but it's not Vegas. It's not California, right? And there's been really good AAA programs down in that area, like the Anaheim Junior Ducks, the Dallas, obviously was ever a little controversial, but the Dallas, the Dallas AAA team down there, like JP Hurlburt came out of there. They're creating players, and so I think it's a really good thing. I think it makes a lot of sense for the USHL if they want to be competitive, if they want to stay desirable. It just matters where you put the teams, who's owning them, how much you're putting into it. That is the make or break, because, like, you know, that's the idea would be to make more structurally successful junior hockey programs in the States, and that makes a lot of sense to me. So yeah, I think it's a really good idea. I don't hate it at all. I think it's I think for the USHL, honestly, like, it's the only option. Like, how else do you compete with the Canadian Hockey League, really? You know, like, to me, it means, like, what happened to Moncton could almost happen in reverse if you put a team in, like, Vegas, right? Like, a lot of Americans came up and played for Moncton this year, and that program is attractive to a lot of players. A lot because they have relatively new ownership. There's a lot of money flooding into them. They're a good team, like, all this stuff. And if you can repeat that, but backwards in the USHL with some new teams, then I think that's the only way to counter what's going on for the USHL. And I think they know that, right? So, yeah, rumors of the USHL's demise, I think, are exaggerated. We'll see what happens, though. Was there any thought about going to the draft since it's in Buffalo, which is very close to Ontario? Yeah, I thought about it, but honestly, I went to a few drafts. I love going to them. I would love to go to the one in Buffalo. It's obviously, like, right here, but I don't have, like, I find a lot more success from doing the show, not being at the draft. Like, being at the draft is okay for, like, connections and everything, but also, like, there's nobody going. It's not in person anymore. So, like, there's no real benefit. If we had a bigger channel and a bigger audience, like, doing some sort of event, I think would be really fun, but we're not there, I don't think. Maybe one day, but for now, like, doing a show from here and having a little bit of fun and bringing some people in here just is better for my business than going to the draft. And also, I save a lot of money. Although I would be spending less for sure. I probably would be I could just drive there from where I live and just drive home and sleep here after night one, right? Like, it's pretty close. Yeah. So I don't know, but it's I thought about it, but it's not in the cards this year. Since we're on the Buffalo thing, you ever thought about going to the Combine, or is it an invite-only thing? You can get a media pass. There are people who have media passes where I go, how? Like, it's possible. I looked into it this year, but this is a dumb thing. I looked into it, and I was asking around a little bit about maybe going, and then I looked and saw that my passport expires, like, yesterday. And I did not want to be in Buffalo when my passport expires, because taking a little unannounced trip to El Salvador does not sound very fun. So I think to myself, I think I went and got my passport renewed and said, okay, if somehow it comes in before, I'll try to get in last minute, and I haven't gotten it yet. So, personal mistake. I totally... Look, here in Canada, at least, for a long time, passports expire once every decade, and... So I totally forgot, and 10 years goes by like that when you're 120 years old like I am. You realize very quickly, oh, my passport's actually expiring, and I should get that taken care of before it does expire. And once you get it renewed, it's not valid. They, like, punch a hole through it, and it's not. I don't think it's valid. Honestly, I don't remember what the guy told me when I was at Service Canada, because he talked a lot and about all kinds of stuff, and then just sprinkled in little information. You know what I mean? Like, he was, like, talking about Mark Carney and the government and spending money, and how he hated Justin Trudeau while working at the federal government. Anyway, he's just like, but then he would also be like, oh, and also, like, you should expect it here, or, oh, you need to sign this. And then he would just go back to just yapping about whatever. And I'm just like, what is this guy's? It's wild. You know, a little bit of a character, but we had fun. We had a fun time renewing my passport, which you can't say for most people. By the way, this is off topic, but if you are, well, it is on topic for renewing your passport, but if you're a Canadian and you're renewing your passport and you book an appointment in advance, which I would highly recommend you do, when you get to Service Canada, you don't have to wait in line if you have an appointment. You can just bud the whole line. They didn't tell me that. Nobody said that. And when I got to my appointment and I checked in, the guy who sat me down and did my renewal, he was like, oh, by the way, like, did you wait in line? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, there's a little sign in the window. He's like, it's about that big. And it says, if you have an appointment, please just go to the front desk. And I did not see that. Because there also was like a million things taped to the window, like a million like if you're a new immigrant, or like if you're a refugee, like, or if you don't speak English, like like all of this stuff that should be there if you're a government, office. But then also it's like, also if you have an appointment, please go straight to the desk. And I was like, okay. It's like that whole thing where in World War II with the planes, they had all the gauges the same size, and like pilots were ignoring the really important information. So they were all like crashing because they just their eyes weren't focused on the right places at the right time. So they started changing the sizes of the dials in an airplane so that like, that's why certain dials in objects are much larger than others a lot of the time. Just there's a fun fact for you. Because your attention is focused on those things more. So I felt that one, I blame the human brain for that little misstep. So if you ever do that, skip the line. It's the only time where skipping the line I think is appropriate. Pretty sure. Can't think of another one. Anyway. The point is, the Combine, I don't think it's invite only, but you do have to apply. And because of my stupidity with my passport, I unfortunately couldn't do it. But I definitely would go. I would love to go to the Combine. I would love to ask some questions and get some audio from these guys. And I don't know about I don't know about recording video, but I would definitely be recording audio and doing that from there, mostly because recording audio to me is a lot easier to do well as a singular person than recording video. So, yeah, I have a little tiny lavalier microphone, so I would definitely just like hold a little tiny little microphone, do the whole. Remember when that was a trend? I did it once, but taking a teeny little lavalier microphone and yeah, I just bring that back. Yeah, maybe the guy who returned my wallet was Brad Lambert. I'd be stunned, but probably not. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe that happened. Like I'm still in disbelief. And I felt great yesterday. It was wild. I don't know. Don't give up on the world just yet, folks. After goalie day, do you feel stronger, weaker, about the same of the goalies in this group? Pretty good, honestly. I feel good. I think there's a lot of good goalies, and I think the goalie in our server that was there would approve of that. Honestly, some of the best ones we watched yesterday were guys that aren't getting a ton of attention. Like the guys that I would absolutely focus on getting are Fedorov and Henriquez. Those two were awesome. They were great. And Rybkin was pretty good too. I still really like him. Vladimir Proskorin was also really good. Who else was really good? I mean, Tobias Treibel was pretty good, but like, I don't know. I've seen him in the first round and stuff, and I don't know if I would do that. Like his weaknesses were pretty apparent. Like he overcommits laterally a lot. And actually, this is an interesting point, and credit to the Discord member who who you are, who talked about this. But one thing that we noticed a lot of goaltenders doing was, to a layman like me, it looked like overcommitting, where they would go side to side, and instead of like hugging the post and pressing up against the post, they'd go past the post in a butterfly. And I was like, well, that's a little strange, because like a bunch of your body is not you're not in the net. And the explanation was like, especially for bigger goalies, there is this like line of thought that on those sort of cross seam passes through the faceoff circle down low where the goalie is cutting across, going in up on one leg and like going into an RVH, like it does open up space and it's more movement in that process. So like the process of going from a butterfly into an RVH or hugging the post or something involves too much movement. Whereas if you slide across in your butterfly, especially if you're tall, your body, as long as like your shoulder or head is like directly in front of the post, you're covering the entire short side right? And so it obviously opens you up to going, leaving a wide open far side if that puck comes back across the center of the ice. But that's not an easy play to make. And so it was a thing where it's like, that is a thing goalies do, where like they'll get over to the post and instead of like hugging it, they'll like go past it a little bit. But with Tribal, he was doing that, but like even then going too far and like taken out of position. He also got beat, like even I noticed, like he got beat high blocker side like a lot. Like almost all of his goals were just shooting high blocker or low glove. Now low glove is pretty common for goalies. That's not an easy save to make, so that's the thing. But that seemed to be a pattern that was unusual. And so there was a lot to digest, but yeah, I do think it's a good year for goalies by and large. And especially if you have some mid-round picks, there are guys that I definitely would want to throw a flyer on, especially because Team Scouching have no goalies. We've got Vladar, Mikhail Burden, and Dmitry Nikolaev, who I don't even know what he's doing anymore. I think he's with Spartak Moscow, but yeah, I don't know. So we haven't drafted a goalie in a while, and in any case, good group, good goalies, good times, good goalies. Would it be considered that much of a reach if San Jose takes Verhoff at 2? For a second there, I thought my shirt was on backwards, or upside down. Yeah, if my shirt was on upside down. Could you imagine? No, I thought my shirt was on inside out, but it's not. Verhoff at 2, it would be a stretch and a bet. I don't know, man. I after watching some of these guys back over the last couple of days, I just don't know if I would draft a defenseman at 2. I don't know if there's a whole lot of certainty with any of them at 2. I mean, the one that I would think about at 2 is Schmitz. And I feel like Schmitz in San Jose would be awesome. Like, that guy, I feel like, deserves to thrive in a place like Southern California. Oh, wait. Yeah, San Jose is in Southern California, right? No, it's the Bay Area. I've never been to California, so forgive me for my ignorance. What is PayPal Park? Oh, it's a stadium. Yeah, the Bay Area. Okay, so Central California. Okay, Central California. Never mind. LA is SoCal. That's the one. LA is Southern California. Anyway, the point is, Verhoff at 2, it wouldn't be my pick. I don't think I would do it. But I do think that he's a player who, like, it could work. It could work. I just don't know. Like, especially because there are a lot of people who are pretty down on Verhoff. Like, I would see if you could trade down and get him if you wanted. But I think he is underrated based on where people think. Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't be my pick, but wouldn't shock me. Mike's boss is at the TTC. It was actually Go Transit. The TTC does not get any credit on that one. But yeah, no, I did leave him a good review. I did get in touch and gave a thumbs up. He gave me his card. Well, not his card, but a feedback card. And don't worry, I took care of him. I don't know who had Bjork at 2. Wasn't me. It wasn't me. Anyway. Traditionally, have there been any scouts whose lists are close to yours in the past? Well, I don't. On the NHL side, I don't see those at all. There are some teams who, they sort of give me individual hints about stuff, and a lot of the time it lines up. Like, I was told after the draft in 2021 that a team got their number one guy later than you might think, and they had the almost exact same top 10 as I did that year, where I had like Power at 7. I think they said they had him at 5 or 6. So like sometimes you hear about those things. A lot of the time I hear from scouts who actually, it also very well could be selection bias. Like the ones I talk to and the ones I hear probably see the game relatively similar to me, but they have generally the same ideas about certain things. Like a guy with a team drafting real high this year. I've been talking back and forth with him, and he's like, I'm desperate for us to trade down. Like he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of teams really high are looking at trading down, because like you've got Florida in the top 10 as a contender, Toronto in the first slot. They could be drafting, but also they're not usually a team down there. There are teams that are down in that range that might want to think about moving their pick and either getting stuff in the NHL or just adding more picks or something. I don't know. But I know that there's at least that type of thing going on. So we'll see what happens. In terms of the question, though, like from the past, it does happen from time to time. But again, like it depends on selection and who's who. Like there are people out there who think like me, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they don't do the work like I do, but their general priorities in terms of what a valuable draft pick looks like lines up with me. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that it exists. I just don't get to see specifically the lists. I mean, look, like the thing I'm told a lot when I do put my work out, when I do put rankings out, like finalized rankings, is like a lot of people go like, I see where you're coming from and I'll take it, right? Like they can at least understand what I value, and like they're like, okay, like fair enough, right? And especially like when I put the write-ups out, like people are like, okay, like I get it. I may not agree with having this guy here or here or here, but like I see the argument, right? And I think a lot of the time some people will say like, I do not see the argument for X or Y or Z that they see, and I'll take it. So I'll take that. But in terms of specifics, I don't usually get those. I want your take on the EP draft guide. What, all 2,400 pages of it? They had a lot of random CHLers I'd never heard of or looked at in the second and third round. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say this. I flipped through it, obviously not all 2,000 pages, but I've been flipping through it just like at night, messing around. And look, 1,000% credit to EP for putting that out. That's an incredible undertaking. It's a ton of work. Obviously, it's obvious that they're not screwing around. Anybody who thinks that those people are complete frauds are fools. I don't agree with a lot of their final assessments, but like I'm sure they don't agree with mine either. But I mean, my takeaway, especially from like parsing through some of the reports and stuff, it's like I get the feeling there's a lot of like, well, this guy has size NHL teams are looking for, therefore we're going to rank him. Like, it just seems like they're trying to build an NHL draft board, right? Like, I just don't know if I would believe that, that they genuinely think that all of these guys, like, I think there are guys they have ranked low that they like but don't think an NHL team will play, or guys they have ranked that they may not actually like that much, but eventually an NHL team might play them. Like, I got into a bit of a thing with a scout a while ago because they basically came away being like, scouting is not necessarily always about drafting who you think is the best player. A lot of the time it is also drafting guys you think your coach will play. Like, you need to be able to go, you need to set aside your own beliefs sometimes and go, I'm going to look at this player because an NHL team will play this player, right? Like, they have all the ingredients to at least play games. And I just kind of looked at, I can't do that job that way. I just don't think I can do the job that way. Like, if that's the case because you're worried, and it was like a job security thing, right? Like, if you pick a guy in the third round who is a bottom pair guy who plays 100 games and is not very good, but is huge, it's like you look smart because you've landed a player that chipped in some way. And I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. It's not I can't do it that way. I just don't like. I just can't. And maybe that's naive. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's just my naivete, if you will. But like I understand, but I don't know. I'd rather like the job to me is evaluating players, not playing a game. Like it's like you're playing a game, and I just don't think I'd be capable of doing that. I'd rather stick my neck out for someone I believe in and get fired than be like, well, I don't know if this guy is very good, but like he'll rise through the ranks more so than this other guy. So yada, yada, yada. Okay. Like, and fair enough, right? Like if that's how you want to do it, then fine. I think there's a bit of that going on, you know? And I mean, fair enough, right? Like, I guess if you get a guy who's 6'4" and can just go out and hit guys and play that sort of baseline game, then fine. You know, fair enough. And I mean, in this year's draft class, like, I guess once you get into the second or third round, like, I don't really care. Like, if, I don't know, no, there's not going to be a whole lot of guys generally in any draft class. By the time the third or fourth round comes along, to me, it's just flyers. Just dudes you're just kind of like, I like this player. Who knows what I'm looking at? I don't know. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Who these guys all have about the same as a chance as anyone else, right? And so I know what I like in a player. If you don't see it that way, then so be it. Is Denver winning the national title with all the new commits they've gotten? Well, they probably won't get any worse. We'll see what happens. I think, is it Landon DuPont? I know Daxton Rudolph committed. I think they were trying to get Landon DuPont or something like that. That'd be fun. Well, they won't be bad, that's for sure. Can Jarofsky become a good top 6? I mean, it's possible. He's skilled enough. I don't think he's going to be a primary driver of play that like scores a ton in the top 6, but I think he's going to he looked a lot better than I expected this year, that's for sure, and I really liked him last year. I don't know. I don't think there's certainty in that, personally. Is the NTDP allowed to block Carter Meyer from going to the queue? I don't think so. JP Hurlburt left. I don't think they can do that. I'm sure if they tried and he really wanted to go, I'm sure a lawyer would accept that kind of a case. I'm sure if he wanted to fight it, someone would be willing to jump up and take that opportunity and try and make that happen. We'll see. Like the Ballard era. Yeah, like exactly. No, we're talking Conn Smythe era, man, in Toronto. We're talking when I was a young boy. Back when I was a young boy in during the Great Depression, eating tomato soup cake, Campbell's tomato soup meatloaf or something. I don't know. Yeah, hockey in Arizona, good. I mean, ASU still exists, but I mean, yeah, Arizona deserves hockey. It just does. Like, and it's like Arizona's awesome. I love Arizona. I mean, I'm biased. I've got family there, love them dearly, but I just love Arizona. Like, it's great. It's such Arizona's such a nice balance of quaint, psychotic American culture. You know what I mean? Like, it's not completely out of control. It's kind of still in that like zone where it's like, this is culture shock to me, but it's kind of fun, you know? Like, they're not quite like, you don't see quite the like so obnoxious like you're rolling coal in a giant pickup truck style thing in Arizona so much. And it's also not like it's overwhelmingly like you can like smell the silicone in the air when you walk around in a Walmart or something. It's not like that level of American, but it is like they have liquor stores the size of a Costco, you know, and they've got like beautiful weather and like all of this stuff, and you're just like, you know what, like the craziness is worth it, and it's not that crazy yet, at least not where I've been in Arizona, and it's very beautiful. So yeah, why not? Good places on the planet deserve hockey teams. Am I crazy for thinking Cullen could be the most dynamic player in the draft? Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, there is a possibility that it, like, Cullen, I think, is a very intriguing alternative if you don't get Gavin McKenna. Not saying they're the same player, but they are cut from a similar cloth that are very, 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 very skilled and sometimes very, 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 very frustrating with a lack of a defensive impact in a lot of different ways. Like, Cullen is just like a less involved playmaking version. Like, he's like his data package is very similar to McKenna in a lot of ways, but just not the volume of a playmaker that McKenna has. But otherwise, it's kind of similar. And I think that's why they're separated by a bit of a margin for me. But at the end of the day, I get the feeling that Cullen, like if Cullen goes as high as the top 5 or 6 or 6, 7, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Like, it wouldn't shock me at all. I wouldn't be shocked. And a team bet, like, I think people underestimate just how much a year can make of a difference for a 17-year-old, right? Like, Ivar Stenberg last year, like, Cullen is a week away from 2027 NHL draft. And if what I saw this year, like, if he was eligible next year and I saw what I saw this year for next year, like, I don't know, would he be the best 2027 eligible on the NTDP this year? Probably. I really like Carter Meyer. I really like Jamie Glantz, but Cullen's skill level in a year could be really something. But yeah. It's interesting. And it's possible. I think he's got a ways to go, but it's possible. Thoughts on the GOAT Rudolph going to Denver? Is Rudolph the best defenseman in the draft? How much better is Rudolph? Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, look, Rudolph could have a very good college career, right? He could do stuff. I don't know. Look, I've put my chips on the table for it. We'll see what happens. How fast after the McKenna podcast interview the NHL send off a guy to look into Jacob? Probably a millisecond. You're right. The Marlies Penguins conference final has been kind of a blast to watch. It's a decent substitution from having Vegas win another club. I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I've seen a bit of it. It's been great. My correspondent enjoyed the time that they had at the game, which is very admirable. How did you not know about booking appointments for passports? I did know. I booked an appointment. What I didn't know, if you ever, like, you Gen Zs, man, if you ever like listen and like comprehend the words that are coming out of my mouth, Mr. Video Editor that I pay, well, I haven't paid yet for last month, but I'll do it this weekend, I promise. How did you not know about booking appointments? I did book an appointment. The thing I didn't know was that I could skip the line. I didn't know that. So I waited in line like a chump. And then they immediately put me in a room, and that was it. But take a moment, man. Take a step back, bro. I need a passport because I'm planning on going to the World Junior Summer Showcase. Lucky you. That'll be fun. Passports are good, man. Passports are like the coolest government document. I don't think that's in dispute. Like, if I had to power rank the government documents you could get from a government, like, passports are right up there. Like, it's the paper and the way it's built is satisfying. It is a track record of everywhere you go in your life, the countries you visit, the places you go. Oh, the places you'll go. Oh, I can look back in my passport and see the places I have gone. And you get, they last a long time. They have all kinds of cool security features in them too, like, that are kind of fun to, like, be like, I feel like it's almost like I'm a spy a little bit. Like, it's kind of fun. Passports are good, man. But way cooler than a driver's license or a health card or a credit card. Like, lame. Although I have a metal card. That's pretty cool. One of my bank gave me a metal card. That I feel that makes you feel like a big person. But a passport makes you feel like a capital C citizen, in my opinion. That makes you feel like someone knows you exist. You know what I mean? It's pretty good. My boss is going to the combine. If you want to relay any questions to me, well, maybe I'll take you up on that. Maybe I will. Jonas Sivertson is a big riser on the EP Big Book. What's your opinion of him? Do you have him as high as 35? I don't have him ranked. I think Sivertson is fine. He might be one of the more interesting I just haven't seen enough of him. I can't watch everybody. You know what I mean? at least I can't watch everybody in the same amount of detail, and I'm just not as familiar with Sivertson. Just it's whenever I've gone and watched him, I think he does have some appeal for being a finisher, like a goal scorer. He's got a pretty good shot. The frame is good. Like, could he be a Pavel Dorofeyev clone where there are scenarios that you could play him in where he could thrive? Sure, potentially. We'll see. But I just, with him, it's like the question that I always am asking at this time in the year is, am I drafting him over this player, this player, this player, this player, this player, this player who I have ranked pretty high that I've seen a lot more of based on what I'm seeing of the player I'm looking at? And if the answer is no, a lot of those players are probably going to be available 5th, 6th, 7th round. And it's just like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I have to focus my attention where I feel like it needs to be focused. So yeah, like, he's not a bad player at all. I think he will get drafted. I don't know about top 40, but yeah. Like, if I wanted Jonas Sivertson, I would just draft a center who's a similar size and like showcases a lot more puck control potential from what I've seen, like an Adam Anderson. You know what I mean? Like, fair enough, but yeah, no, I don't know. Not my decision. Yeah, you may as well just draft goalies late. I think the Leafs should trade for a young goalie like Rimpinen. Depends what they're paying for him. Depends what they're paying for him. I mean, look, like, I think that trading for a goalie with no pro experience is always, you're throwing dice. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you don't really know. But we'll see. But the Leafs in net are not really the problem. Like, Stolarz, Wall, Hildeby, those are all pretty good goalies. It's just they were faced with like the toughest workload in the league outside of maybe Chicago and Seattle, I believe. Something like that. Thoughts on Timofey Runso? I mean, look, I don't get it. I don't get it on him, like, as a re-entry. I don't know. I've seen him here and there. I've actually watched him since he was playing AAA hockey back in the day, and I liked him at that level. I thought he was very impressive there, but I didn't really think he was an NHL pick, and I did not think that last year. Like, I think that it's, I don't know. This is my bias talking, but like, seeing all of the guys that came up from the US come to Canada and play in the CHL and just run the show, and all of a sudden, like Timofey Runso wasn't even remotely close to NHL draft boards last year, but he comes to Canada, plays a ton, and all of a sudden he's a 2nd round pick. Tommy Blyle, good player. I have him pretty high, but like, 3 games of experience at the USHL level last year, under a point a game in prep school, comes to Moncton and leads the team in scoring, is the leading scorer per game scoring in the playoffs as a rookie. Like, JP Hurlburt comes up and immediately, like, just lights the place on fire. Nikita Klepov comes up, lights the OHL on fire. I just think that it's funny how that happens so often. And like, in Canada, we don't really have an answer for that. Like, we don't, like, who are the, like, maybe the Rucks, but I have made my thoughts on them pretty clear, right? Like, Chase Reed was not a USHL player, comes up all of a sudden, top, potentially 1st overall guy, everyone thinks. Caleb Malhotra, half a point a game in the BCHL, comes to Brantford, people have him at 1. Like, it's such a hugely repeatable pattern that is so consistent. Banak, Dennis, all come up from the States and just light the OHL on fire. It's fun. Yegor Shilov comes up from the USHL being under a point a game, and he's shoots the lights out in Quebec. Like, it's just funny how a lot of that is happening. And it's like, so a re-entry defenseman coming out of nowhere and all of a sudden playing in that league looking like a guy that people want in the 2nd round. Like, I just think that the mechanics of the entire flow of players and like the jump, like, I get it. You're 16 years old, you become 17, so yeah, obviously things are going to jump. But at the same time, like, it's kind of wild that those players have all come from where they came from and are among the top players in this entire country overnight. Like, almost all of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird. And Runso is another example of just, he came to Canada, got a lot of ice time, and now everybody is like, oh, we missed on him last year. But like last year, I watched a bit of him last year, and I thought maybe college, like a college guy, sure, but and then when I watch him this year, I just don't see a guy where I'm interested in him as a reentry. You know, but again, it's my bias. My bias is talking there. I admit I'm biased because the numbers just don't make sense to me. And it scares me. It's like, look, again, like, I hate to keep bringing this up. I know there are people in here who appreciate that I tether this to like finance a lot, but like, it is like finance where like sometimes you're researching companies or a sector of companies and you're like, I don't understand. Like, I think people are missing something about a trend going on here, right? Like, I think there might be a little bit of a lagging understanding of maybe what's right in front of your face here, you know? I don't know, but, and maybe you miss out on something, I don't know, but I don't know. I've watched a lot of hockey this year, and there's a lot of information out there that kind of is just like, it scares me, man. It spooks me. So again, it's like maybe Runso is worth drafting, but like a second round pick when I have so many guys in my second round that I just really love watching and are a year younger, like, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And maybe he's a guy that you draft in the 5th or 6th round, but he'll be gone by then, so who cares? Have you been following the Bricks and Minifigs debacle? Not really. I don't really follow internet drama all that much. I don't have the time. I isn't it like they make their own like Lego sets kind of thing, and they have a Patreon, and Lego tried to take down their Patreon because they're like violating Lego's copyright? Something like that. I don't know. What makes Preston a tier higher than Hermansen? Both players have similar descriptions as highly talented but inconsistent. I think he's a better shooter. I think he is a better playmaker than Hermansen. Hermansen is probably comparably skilled. I think Preston has a much better. I think Preston's defensive game is very underrated. It just, he has to want to play defense. Like, this is why I feel like he's very William Nylander coded. Like, Nylander, for better or worse, actually has good defensive traits. It's just when he doesn't have them, you notice. Everybody notices. And Preston is going to be the same. Hermansen, I just don't think it's the same. Hermansen, I think, is a more frustrating puck possession player than Preston at times. But in terms of like fundamentals, skill wise and skating wise, like, they're comparable. They're in the same ballpark. But with Preston, I also see like more intriguing, like, dynamic ability, like slowing the game down, changing angles, getting different looks, all that stuff. Hermansen, he does that too, to an extent, but I find a lot of it is like, if you want to complain about, not that you're doing this, but if you want to complain about Preston forcing plays and trying too much, but Wyatt Cullen is a top 5 pick to you, I don't know what to tell you. Same thing with Hermansen, though. Like, those guys are, for better or worse, frustrating players. The Brick and Minifig stole $200,000 worth of Lego inventory from a person and refused to hand it back and pays the Mormon police to be their enforcers. That's awesome. That's crazy. I mean, you're summarizing it in a certain way. I know nothing about this story, but that's crazy. Oh boy. That's awesome. I push back on Verhoff not being considered number 2 by the league. YouTubers for sure. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I'm not saying he's not considered there. I just think I wouldn't do it. Like, I think it is possible. It just wouldn't be my pick, or I would just think about moving down. Oh, they resold. Okay, so they resold. I see. Okay. They resold private Star Wars sets for $200,000. Okay, got it. They're a resale shop. Wow. That's very funny. What a mess. Well, that is a debacle. You're right. Could you please use your mind link with Wes Clark to tell us what players Pittsburgh are hoping are on the board at 22? Oh man. Oh god. Oh man. Let me just go to my I'm just going to go to my simulator and run one in the first round as Pittsburgh and see who's left and just give you that. So the sim gave me guys like Novotny, Morozov, Herbert, Dajany, Piparinen, Blyle, Håkansson, Preston, Pugachev, Nordmark, Ignatavicius, Hextall. Hextall for sure is a candidate. Honestly, part of me wants to go Brooks Rogowski. Ilya Morozov, maybe. I don't know about for sure, but the names that there's a lot of good options though. I'd say Hextall is probably the most radical one that makes the most sense to me. The Ben Kindle, if you will, of that pick, but I'd say Piparinen, Blyle, and Rogowski if I'm looking at this list and just going off of that. And that's just the guys that were left on the board. So reality obviously could go differently. But those would be the one. Like Suvanto is one that comes to mind if he's there, but I don't think he'll be there. Is this scout good at his job? I would say yes. That's the person who told me that there. I have no reason to believe NFL draft. I try. Oh, okay. Is that better? Is that okay? Yep. I think we're good. I think we're okay. Sorry about that. I see it in my monitor. Are we okay? I think we're fine. I see it feeding in my monitor. Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, sorry about that. What were we talking about? I'll just go back. Yeah, the draft smoke screen. I think with that thing, it's like if that's what you're into, if that's what you want to talk about, then fine, so be it. I'm not gonna stop you. I just don't. It's just like for fun. I think a lot of it is just for fun. And I don't know, but it's possible. Oh my god. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Is that why they have Sokolovsky that high? I mean, look, I think a lot of it is as well with Sokolovsky. I mean, I've had a couple of people be like, oh, he got a lot better during the playoffs or something. And when I watched a couple of playoff games of Sokolovsky, I saw a guy where Dale Hunter went up to him and was like, you go out and kill Brady Martin. That's your job. And he did that for better or worse. He was chasing after him all game long, every game. And was the play going right through him constantly? And was he relinquishing scoring chances and not playing very well in general? Yes. But hey, he went after Brady Martin a bunch. And if that's what you think is good, then I can't stop you. Look, he's humongous. Like, if it works, it's because he develops a lot. And good luck. I don't know. I would not use a first round pick on him. It's like if that, like, I don't know. I've seen him a few times this year, and every single time I'm just like, you're drafting a player who is not that effective but is big enough to, who knows? And if that's what you want to do, fine. I don't get it, though. I just don't get it. And I've never really had it explained in a way that I get, other than he's just big and mean and it'll be good. He'll be fine. And I go, okay, but first round pick? Like, really? I don't know. What kind of combine can a team do that the NHL would allow or look the other way? I wonder. I mean, I think that the thing that got Arizona in trouble was physical testing. I think that's what they got in trouble for. But in terms of, like, if Toronto is bringing guys to Toronto that they're interested in and interviewing them privately, and that's considered like a combine in the eyes of a guy like Gavin McKenna or something, then so be it. Or maybe it's like they're doing like a seminar thing with them or something. I don't know. But curious phrasing. What do you think about the late riser Lucien Bernat? Honestly, I've liked Bernat all year, and if he gets picked, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have him ranked, but I like him. I think he's a good one. He's big, but he also gets around pretty well. He's physical and aggressive, like a pretty good pacey guy. And maybe he's worth a last minute look before the draft, but I've seen, like, I wonder, like, it's like, to me, it's like, why is this happening? Like, why is he a riser at this point in the draft? And at this point in the season, and the only thing I can see is that Kent Hughes, like, there was a report that they really like him in Montreal for a second round pick. And it's like, well, okay, so just because of that, all of a sudden people are rating him higher? Like, that sounds odd. Like, if you saw him play and genuinely believed he was a player, which you have seen him play. He's played international tournaments all year, right, for Slovakia. He was at the Lenka Gretzky Cup. We saw him there. He was at the under-18s. We saw him there. I didn't hear a peep about him after the under-18s. The only time I've seen his name popping up now is once I saw a thing that said Montreal likes him as maybe a second-round pick. Maybe, if that's the case, right? And who knows, that might have been his agent messaging some reporter, being like, Montreal called us once and they like him. You know? Who knows? You don't know. And so it's like, if that's the logic, then that's not logic. That's just, you're just chasing headlines, and fair enough, whatever. That's, you know. But like with Bernat, I've seen him, and like, is he that much of a downgrade if you want a physical winger compared to some of the guys down the road or down the board that are like in the second round on my board or something that is raw and can develop? Or yeah, sure. You know, I feel similarly about him as I do like a Simon Katoliczki, who I like better. They play on the same team. I've seen plenty of them all year. You know, Katoliczki, I think, is a very raw guy, but the skill level, I think, is better. His play through traffic, his physicality, I think, is better, but Bernat is pretty good there too. Look, I mean, if you genuinely have seen him play and you genuinely believe that he is all of a sudden one of the better guys available, then okay, I guess. But it's awfully strange. Like, I'm looking at EP, nobody has him on their list at all today. So, and they never have. I don't think I've seen him ranked at all. So, was the under 18 where he scored 4 points for a team that went to the gold medal? Like, is that what is doing? Is that what is doing it? Because I didn't think he was like a revelation at that tournament. You know? Like, he's a physical guy. He's got some size. He's quite young. So if you draft him in the second round, I get why you would, but I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that all of a sudden he's this elite level top 50 guy that seems to be out there, or this high end guy that is very desirable. Like, I don't know. I just don't agree with, if you're doing this work all year long, and then when you hear NHL teams like a guy more than you do, you adjust on the fly. I just don't think that that's a good way to do the job, right? Like, if you've seen him play and you don't like him, then stand by it. Just because an NHL team will draft a guy that high, then figure it out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that Burnett is a solid one. He is all the tools that you might want for an NHL pick for sure. Could he have been on my list? I guess. But all year he's been just a guy where it's like, yeah, he's interesting, but I'm not he's never like crossed that Rubicon. And I feel like it's only really happening because you're hearing Montreal. And I saw someone say like Jurovsky, right? Like it's like they said Jurovsky was a top 16 guy or top 17 guy on their list or whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I always believed in him, you know, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But big wingers, man. In the middle rounds, if an NHL team doesn't have a big defenseman they like out there, they'll draft big wingers who hit. Because I guess you can play those guys too. What list am I looking at? That's my own, man. Dropped your name during Sekkeris and Price in Vancouver. Oh, very nice. They're good peoples. I mean, I don't know. Like, Canucks fans coming here for draft sanity. I'm not sane. I'll tell you that. I'm not sane. But it is crazy, man. Things are nuts out there these days. I mean, this is how it is every year. Like it just is this way. The draft is crazy season. Everybody all of a sudden becomes an expert. Everybody all of a sudden has opinions and takes, and it's like, well, where were you in October? You know, where were you in November? Like, if you didn't care then and you care now, fair enough. But like, you just kind of got to sift through the noise, I guess, if you're a member of the public, right? And that's, I mean, and I guess I am kind of thumbing my nose, but like, you know, it's just a lot of this is just like people are saying stuff, and I'm just like, what? Nobody was talking about that like 3 weeks ago, and the only person talking about it now is someone that you'd never hear from about the draft until now. So what's going on there? Anyway, just is what it is, you know. If this is where you come for sanity, though, I can't imagine how crazy it is in Vancouver, because I'm out of my mind, dog. The NTDP can't block him from leaving. The release request is him requesting to not have to pay the buyout penalty. If they deny it, he can still leave. It'll just cost him a few $1,000s that I think the CHL team covers. Well, okay. There you go. San Jose is considered North California, even though it's Central. I think you should sue over that. How dare they? I don't know what that means. Is there a way to show us examples of what you really like or dislike about prospects in your breakdowns? I could. I don't know how I would fit it in without boring you, but I'll do this. I'll do this if you're still here. I'll explain it this way, right? Here, let's do this. Is that okay? You can see this? There you go. All right. So I did this before a few weeks ago, but we'll do it again. I think about the game like this, right? It's a cycle, right? And, well, maybe not. Maybe that's not the best way to do it. We'll do arrows, right? You either do not have the puck. That's a P. You do or do not have the puck, right? There is no in between. If your team has the puck, it's in one game state. You do or you don't, right? If you don't have the puck, right? If you don't have it, can you get it back? Go get it, right? And if you can get it, can you move it? Can you get it into the offensive zone? Right? If you have an ice rink shaped like this, right? Well, you know what I'm trying to do here. If you have an ice rink shaped like this, you got your blue line, you got your red line. Yeah? Okay, I guess that makes sense. You got your blue line, your red line, and your other blue line. Oh no, this is turning out very bad. Where's the eraser? Is there no eraser on this stupid thing? Okay. All right, you got your red line, blue line, right? So you need to get the puck this way, because the net is here. You want it away from your own end. So you get it and you go up this way. Can you get it into this area as well, right? This website is awful. Okay, I'm going to start over because this is really pissing me off here. And I can't just delete everything. I can't. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right. This is really annoying. All right. So you do or you do not have the puck. All right. You do or you don't. You don't. So you go get it. And then you move it to the offensive zone. Move it to the offensive zone. And then you need to make a play of some kind in the offensive zone, right? So you could say pass, passing or shooting. Shoot. Pardon my spelling oh my god. And then you might lose the puck, right? And then you end up in this scenario again, right? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to find a player that does this really well, does this really well, does this really well, does this really well, and also like does so in a way with like planning it out and trying to be smart about the way they go about it. It's not just pure energy. It's not just pure energy. It's not just pure speed. It's not trying off the puck and focusing on finishing. It's all of the above. And how do you do this, right? How do you one, get puck? How do you do that? How? And are you capable? 2, right? Move puck. How do you get into the offensive zone and are you good at it, right? 3, make play. Right? I don't care really. I mean, I do care what you're doing, but if you're making plays and you're, trying to do stuff in the offensive zone, great. And 4 is score. This is like the priority for me. Like, I think we see the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is what separates winners from losers, I think. So that's why I prioritize it a ton. This, if you have 2 teams that are really good at this is what separates them, right? And if you have 2 teams that are really good at both of these things, then this is what makes a difference. You know what I mean? So like this is the sort of cascading levels of importance for me that I really think about with a player. There are a lot of guys, especially in this year's class, I think, who are really good at this. They're really good at this part. But this part is not great. Well, we'll do this. This part's not great. This part's not great. This part's definitely not great. So in that's generally the way I go about it. Boiled down to its fundamentals. That's what I care about the most. And if there are players who are good at further down that ladder that aren't so good higher up the ladder, it's like, okay, but is it enough for me to be less concerned? Right? That's generally the breakdown. Oh, MS Paint? True, I should have just used MS Paint. But it would have been more complicated. I apologize. Deal with it though. Central California is reserved for all the farmland and desert towns. Interesting. California politics, eh? Projection for Hermanson? Like pretty high ceiling, low floor, second line winger. I don't think maybe he's a bottom 6 guy with an offensive edge to him, but I don't know. I don't have certainty about that. We'll see what happens. But yeah, somewhere in that range. Like a skilled forward, playmaking focused guy who's got some energy and can skate at the NHL level, but if he's not scoring, he might not bring as much as you want. But if he's scoring, he'll be fun. Do you think teams value the NCAA more than the junior leagues as much as you do this year, or is Dax and Rudolph going top 10? I mean, I think both can be true at the same time. I mean, I think at this point it's pretty obvious that Rudolph's going top 10, and that's fine. And maybe I've overcorrected on him being a middle to late second round pick for me. But I think he's just part of a gigantic group of guys that have ups and downs later on in the draft. I'm sure that there are teams that are on the same page. There have to be. I don't know everybody, but I don't know how you don't watch the Frozen Four and then watch the Memorial Cup and go, I know which one I would put more weight into, right? That's just me. Could Ole Carlson be a late first next year? I really like him. It's possible. I think it's possible. I do really like him. I thought he looked really good even in the limited SHL time he got this year. We'll see. He could, maybe he is a part-time SHLer next year, and that would be pretty fun. Real question. There's been a question asked to Bill Daly and Gary about moving the draft age to 19. Do you think the NHL will go forward with it? Well, I mean, it would mean not having a draft for a year, right? Or at least if you did have a draft for that 1 year, it would be only re-entries, which would be really weird. Like, I don't know how you would do it. That would, unless you blended two draft classes together, which would also be weird. Like, you would be pissing people off no matter what. Like, imagine they raised the draft age and said, well, we have to have a year where we don't draft a player. What about if your team is bad that year? You're going to be like, well, what do I get? Like, I'm supposed to get draft picks, and of the 1 year, like, do you just say suck it up? Or do you blend two draft classes into one and you have, well, then I get, yeah, like you would have to, it would, yeah, because the year you switch the age, yeah, you would have to leave out an entire draft class for a year. So people would miss out for an entire season. Like, I feel like the implementation on that is like not tenable to NHL teams, right? Like, let's assume that, you know, maybe Chicago doesn't turn it around next year and they move the draft age to 19. Chicago does not get to draft anybody unless they are undrafted from this year. Like, is Ivan Fomin going first overall next year? You know what I mean? Thomas Galvis first overall? Like, I don't think they would want that. But I don't know how else you would implement it. Because you'd have to let the 17-year-olds become 19-year-olds. I don't know. I don't know how you would do it that would be acceptable for NHL teams. But I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I don't know. Is taking Jalen Brunson a reach for the second round, considering his size? Is that the poker player? Is that the poker player? Oh, I know. Believe it or not, I know who Jalen Brunson is, but only literally because of a YouTube short that I saw while making coffee this morning. That's literally all I know, because I believe he busted his knee last night or whatever and rolled his ankle in the same game and like basically like scored every point for the Knicks at the end of the game to win them the game. Is that what happened? Something like that? I say draft the man. I say pick him up. Do it. Why not? He's a real winner. Everything you say about Verhoff just reminds me so much of Pietrangelo. What's the big difference? I honestly can't tell you. I don't remember Pietrangelo when he was 17. Pietrangelo is my age, right? So you're asking me what Pietrangelo looked like when I was 17 and in high school. So I can't give you a good answer on that. Like, I think as an NHL player, they could be comparable-ish. And Pietrangelo went straight to the NHL. I wouldn't do that with Verhoff, right? Pietrangelo did he go straight to the NHL? I don't remember. The point is, like, if that, I don't know, whatever helps you sleep at night. I don't know. For me with Verhoff, I just know what I've seen out of him. And I'm trying to think back to guys that he kind of reminds me of from previous years, and I don't know if there are any, but it's not because he's like not good. It's just I don't know. But Pietrangelo, you do hear a lot. He's pretty good, though. Hermansen, Nordmark, and Elofsson, a trio of nonchalance, super frustrating at times, especially when they hurt their own team's chance of winning. I mean, yeah, like, I think Hermansen is a little more forgivable than those other two, but yeah, I don't really see it with either Nordmark or Elofsson. I mean, Nordmark is ranked for me, but he's a guy where I would really want to make sure I knew what I was doing and interview him a lot and see if he's like a second round pick, maybe. But there are guys I have towards the end of my first round that I just really, really like that I would bet on ahead of Nordmark, that I, again, like, thinking of that cycle brings a little bit more value in key areas. I don't know, but good player.
Thoughts on Klepov, especially relative to the consensus, which seems to have him high. I feel like he hasn't been talked about much lately. I have Klepov just outside my first round. I think Klepov is going to be interesting. I think that if you put him in the right scenario, he could be pretty valuable. Like, if you are a team that insulates him a lot, plays him with guys that can chip in defensively for him, fill a bit of physical space for him, get him the puck at the offensive blue line. Like, if you give him a very favorable job for his abilities, which I think exists, then yeah, like his finishing ability, like once the puck's in the offensive zone, his shot is really good, he's skilled. But I just don't think he's like overall like that impactful of a player. In like the areas that I care about. Like, to me, he's one of a number of guys that you swing on for their offensive ability, and if they work out, you get a good player. But I also have an expectation that these are guys where it might not work out in the NHL, right? Klepov, Hurlbert, Nordmark, Aram Olsen. I have a little more confidence in Command, but I feel like he's kind of in that boat. Like, if they hit, it'll be fun, but I think there are enough concerns where it's like, I don't know if I would put them in my first round. Like Klepov, for example, I mean, this is not the best example, but like Klepov, the last game I did of Klepov, it was one of the playoff games they played against Flint. It was an absolute disaster. It was a blowout and a half. And they just got absolutely killed. And I did not watch that game going, wow, Nikita Klepov really had a positive impact trying to keep Flint at bay, right? Like, watching that game, I didn't see Klepov be the hero on a team that was just destined to fail. He had some good moments, but it just he didn't strike me as a guy where it's like a first round pick, like a top level player just on a bad team dragging them along. You know, like I feel that way about like a Preston with Spokane and Vancouver to an extent, but Klepov, I don't really feel that. Like early second on my list though, like there's fun skill and he's a good pacey, energetic guy, but I just don't know about the NHL. Is it confirmed Stenberg will be a member of Team Scouching? Honestly, no. I feel like it'll be McKenna. And like, because in Toronto, like I'm kind of at the point where it's impossible for me to find out information that would help me decide, unless someone in Toronto, just like with the Leafs, just told me everything they thought, you know, or someone with some other team told me everything they thought about the McKenna situation and everything there going on that I have some concerns with. But like, I think he's a really good fit for the style of team they're trying to be. I think he's a really impressive player. I think that as long as you can keep his head on straight and he's going to put in the work that needs to be done, then I think he's a really good option. But Stenberg is just a really good player, man. Like, I just did their reports yesterday, and there were some things about McKenna that oh geez, that scared me. There are some things that I completely forgot about with McKenna that I didn't even remember, and then I watched the video back and I'm going, oh yeah, like, and Stenberg like is questionable, but I don't know. I don't know the answer. Like, the thought I've had more often and more now that I'm seeing more finalized rankings and like what NHL scouts are actually thinking is you see what people will offer for the luxury of drafting him. Like, I wonder if the perceived value of picking him could be leveraged in such a way that, like, I ran my simulator this morning. Let me pull it up here. And I ran my simulator once, be clear, once. But like, I made some trades just to see what was available as Toronto. And I traded away for Toronto the 1st and the 68th pick. And in return, I got 6, 24, 33, and 30. And like, with those picks, you could even trade down from 6 and probably get this guy. But if I ended up with, let's say you flip some of those picks for an NHL player that can play right now, help you out. If you're Toronto, keep in mind, like, you trade maybe 33, maybe there's a player out there that you can get for something like that. But if you end up with guys like Lawrence and perceived buy low on Villeneuve, perceived buy low on Mathis Preston, you could do that with those picks. Like a guy you could in the late first round, you might still end up with the opportunity to take a defenseman like Tommy Blyle or Adam Gollier or Juho Piporainen or Ryan Lynn, even, I think might be an option there. Like, you could check a lot of boxes on a team that doesn't really have a whole lot in their cupboard outside of my goat Tinus Luke Koblar. Like, you could do some damage. And so it's like part of me is more just thinking like, I would be very curious what the phone calls are like there. Like, as much as I love Gavin McKenna and as much as I love Ivar Stenberg, like, there is some level of truth to certain types of players being hard to find in the draft over the years. And I don't know. I would be entertaining the thought and curious what's going on out there. Dylan Larkin requested a trade out of Detroit. Whoa. Well, look, I'll say this. Year after year after year after year, I've been screaming and yelling and screaming from the rooftops that the Detroit Red Wings need to draft another Dylan Larkin, and they've had their opportunity to do so time and time and time and time and time and time and time again, and they haven't done it yet. Like, if he wants out, I don't blame him. If he wants out, I don't blame him. Detroit has had multiple years in a row where clearly the vibes collapse and everything falls apart. And Dylan Larkin has given them a lot of good years. A lot of good years. And it just has not come to pass. Look, like, that's a guy where if he's available at the draft, I would, if I do the Noah Dobson thing for him. Like, think about it this way, right? Noah Dobson was what, 2 first-round picks and Romanov, was it? No. Who was it? It was, or was it just the 2 first-round picks? Traded to the 2 first-round picks and Emil Heinemann. Like, if I had the first overall pick, traded back, and got 2 mid-first-round picks as well as a later, I don't know, and flipped a bunch of stuff for Dylan Larkin, like flipped a couple of picks for Dylan Larkin. If you're a team that wants to contend, right? Like Florida has a top 10 pick. Maybe there's a deal to be made there where Florida goes, why would we draft a guy and wait 3 years for them to be an impactful player? Like, when we could have Dylan Larkin. There's a deal there. There's going to be a deal there. If he wants to leave, teams should want him. Kapanen, Pickford, Hagen of first. I mean, if I'm Detroit, I probably want more than that. I mean, Hage is a good starter, but Kapanen is, like, he couldn't keep a job on that team this year consistently. Pickford, I think, is overrated. And Montreal's first, like, who cares? I want more than that, but I mean, Montreal could use Dylan Larkin for sure. Would Detroit trade him within the division, though? They are in the same division. No, they're not, right? Oh my god, I'm so dumb sometimes. Oh my god, my Discord is going crazy. I imagine that this is what it's related to. Yeah, Detroit's not... yeah, they're in the same division. Yeah, I thought so. Thought I was going crazy there for a minute. Would they trade Dylan Larkin in the same division? That's the big question. So I get the feeling that you could mark the price up higher than that for the luxury of trading him within the same division. But man, like, the Red Wings, like, I don't know, who's your number 1 center now? If you lose Larkin, who is it? Like, Andrew Kopp? Yikes. That's a, I don't blame him, but I don't know. I'd love it better if the Habs drafted Sheilov, Gashelov, or Nemec instead of Bernat. I mean, I would go for Nemec of those 3 for sure. I don't know. Bernat is fine. I just don't think he's like, you target him. I just don't know about that, but maybe he's worth another look. I don't know. Trocheck for Larkin is inevitable. I don't know why. I don't know why Detroit would do that. Unless they do, I don't know. Like, I think that if it is Larkin moving on, then Detroit has to change gears and just go, we're playing the kids. Like, it's over. We're like what do you like? That team with Dylan Larkin off the team is not the same team, in my opinion. I love Dylan Larkin. I think he is such a huge asset. He's the captain of the team. And if he's asking to leave, if the captain of your team is asking to leave, and you have all these young kids that are doing really, really well, I would just say, let's get younger. Let's just play the kids. We've drafted all of these guys. Let's play them and see what happens. What else are you going to do? Oh, that's brutal, though. That is brutal. What's your floor ceiling for Mutrin? I think he's got a pretty high ceiling. If he just needs to develop his skill level quite a bit, I would say. But I think at the very least you're getting a relentless, energetic middle six winger who is a pain for the opponents to handle. Pretty good along the boards, flashes really high-end ability. I think it's possible that he ends up a bottom six just guy, and that's possible. But I would love to have a guy like Mutrin on my team. Like, the reason I have him where I do is I just watch him play and I go, I want that guy on my team. You know, he wears the captain's letter for the U.S. national team for a reason. He is just a guy that I think everybody rallies around, and I think he's got upside if his development goes well. A year ago, Burchild was a top 10 guy. What happened there? Well, I mean, he's like, Burchild is good. But it's, I don't know. I think a lot of the people who post like these expectations of these guys when they're 16 are literally just looking at who's scoring. Because like Burchild is very skilled, but he always has been very skilled and very compact and hard to project. Like, I remember watching him last year and just going like, I mean, he's fun. He's a good player. He's fun to watch. Maybe he's a guy that could be a first round pick, but I watch him this year and I just go, love the skill level, but like, he's very compact, very slight and ineffective defensively, and like all these big question marks, but very talented. I don't know. I get the feeling that a lot of the time people are just saying this guy scored a lot, therefore he's a top 10 pick. You know, like Rubric, right? Like, we saw people with Rubric top 5 in June last year, right? Like, it's just like they score, so therefore, blah. It's like, I don't think anything really changed. I think it's just people actually watched them play hockey, and that's what happened. Or at least watched them more. Lawrence versus Malhotra. I have Lawrence higher. I think Lawrence, like, my whole thing is if Lawrence spent the whole year in the USHL, scored 40 goals, and had 90 points, would anybody care about drafting him top 5? Because I think that's what he would have done, and I don't think anybody would have cared. And he goes to Boston University. What, did he forget how to play hockey? Did he just all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm just gonna suck now? I don't know. Like, I look at it as if he got called up to an SHL team halfway through the year, and he was a half a point a game, and maybe he looked like he struggled for a little bit and then got really comfortable, and then really comfortable. You know, so, like, I don't think anybody would bat. Like, people are looking at Viggo Björk really positively. I think Lawrence is a better skater than Björk. I think he's more like inside driven with the puck than Björk. Björk is a great perimeter playmaker and everything, and he goes to the net off the puck. But so does Lawrence. I don't know. I like with Lawrence, I see a guy you win with. And with Malhotra, I see a guy that could develop into that. I don't think he's there right now. I watched a game of him yesterday from the series against Barrie. And the first couple of shifts, and I've noticed this too with him a lot in the games I've seen. First couple of shifts, he's ripping. They give him the puck below the goal line, and he can really fly with it, for sure. You give him a lane, he'll exploit it. But like for me, when the going gets tough and it's off the puck and he's, you know, in transition defensively and outside of carrying the puck himself and just sort of barreling directly into everybody, I think it's an interesting example of different ways to look at the same thing. People will critique a player for skating into pressure over and over and over again. But people won't critique a player for skating into pressure over and over and over and over again if they just put their bum in the way and protect the puck okay. But they will throw the kid out who does the first thing where they skate into the pressure. Like I've seen Wyatt Cullen do that a million times. And they won't go, well, that you can teach them how to resist pressure like that. You can teach them how to play that way. But when they have a player who just barrels directly into pressure, and once in a while you see some nice plays under pressure they're all of a sudden the desirable one. And if the rest of the picture is a question mark, you go, well, we'll teach him that. I don't know. I see with Malhotra like a guy who plays a very high risk game. He's very good with his physical tools are good. Like I think it's a pretty good bet that he'll make the NHL. But I see a lot of question marks. Again, if Caleb Malhotra's name were John Svensson and he was from Luleå in Sweden, I was about to say Finland and offend like a billion people, but if he's from Luleå, is Vancouver jumping at the chance to draft the guy? And if the answer is no, then don't draft the guy. You don't draft the guy for the storyline. What difference does it make that his dad is currently the head coach of the team if Malhotra might not be there for 2 years? For all you know, Malhotra might not even be the coach when Vancouver pulls him up to the NHL. You draft the player, you don't draft the story. If you genuinely believe he's a top 3 guy in the class, then all power to you. Fair enough. And again, it's very possible 5 years down the road, I'm eating crow about having him at 15 instead of 5, right? I can't say for certain that I am right. But based on what I've seen of him and what I've seen of the landscape as a whole and everything all together in my experience over the last 9 months, I just don't know. If Vancouver were a playoff team this year, would Caleb Malhotra be in the top 5? I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I go off of the players that I see and how they play and the data that I collect on them, and with him, it's just not the same. And with Lawrence, Lawrence is better on paper in a lot of different ways, even in the NCAA. A lot of different ways. Seattle should jump all over Larkin, Shane Wright, their first and another first. I mean, Seattle should be all over it, and they have the pieces to do it. I don't think Detroit would want Shane Wright as the central focal point. A top 10 pick, now we're starting to get somewhere, right? Seattle trading their pick, but I get the feeling that Detroit's going to look at, if I'm Detroit, I'm going you give me Berkeley Catton, then we'll talk. Catton, Wright, and a first for Dylan Larkin is, I would say, where I would start. I don't know. That's just what I would. That's how I would put it. He wants to go to a contender. I would think that Larkin in Seattle would certainly make them a lot better. If the upgrade on Seattle is going from Shane Wright to Dylan Larkin, and all it costs you is a top 10 pick and Berkeley Catton, who's great. I love Berkeley Catton, but he's kind of in a bit of a logjam there. He played 4th line minutes for them this year. What's he gonna? And I think he's a center. I think you need to play Berkeley Catton at center. And Detroit certainly could try that. I get the feeling it would make Seattle a lot better. But if he wants to go to a contender, then go cup chasing, man. Do your thing. But most contenders probably don't have a whole lot of the pieces that Detroit needs. Because you can't have it all the same way. Detroit, if Detroit wants to stay competitive, so to speak, by trading Dylan Larkin, but Larkin wants to go to a contender, that implies that the trade package will be a contender trading a good player on their team for Dylan Larkin, which, why would you do that? Right? Flip it around. It doesn't make any sense. There's no deal there. Because unless a contending team also has a player who wants to leave, which if you're on a really good team and you want to leave, I'm not sure what that's all about, but maybe there's a deal, but I don't know what that would look like. I mean, but like Florida with a top 10 pick, start from there, you know? Like, does Florida look at trading, I don't know, Samoskevich, a top 10 pick, another first round pick, blah, blah, blah. But like, what are they going to do? Trade Anton Lundell for Dylan Larkin or something? Like, I don't think so. I don't think so. It'll be very interesting. I mean, if anything, Detroit might want futures and then see, I don't know. If I'm Detroit, I think at this point, with all the guys you have drafted over the years, you kind of have to just lean into the youth now. You're kind of being forced. Yeah, teams will give up a lot for them. I'm not saying they won't. It's just contending teams, you're already really good for a reason. So it's really difficult. Like, if I were the general manager of a really good NHL team and Dylan Larkin came up, I'd be all over it. But I have a group that's already really good. So why would I trade a good part of that group when we're already really good? Like, the incentive for me to mess up potentially a good thing is, in my opinion, just not there. Unless Larkin fills a gap that I have redundancy in. Like, Toronto could do it. If he goes to Toronto, I could see, because Toronto needs a guy like Dylan Larkin pretty badly. Like, if Toronto adds it, then that makes sense. But like, is Toronto trading what for him? Morgan Riley? Detroit's not doing that. Is Toronto trading William Nylander for him? Well, then you're making a lateral move. Like, a good NHL teams, they're probably not going to make a lateral move. I mean, yeah, Boston for Hagens and a few firsts, but like, is that what Detroit wants? If that isn't what if Detroit wants younger guys, then yeah. If Detroit wants younger players and they want to play a youth movement, then there's a much easier deal to make there with a contender. It'll be interesting, man, but that could be a hell of a deal someone could make. Pietrangelo got the minimum games in back-to-back seasons. Yeah, fair enough. I probably would think that Verhoff will take a while to get there as well. Thoughts on Beckett Hamilton? Not bad production for a late birthday, being on a bad team. Yeah, I like him. I don't know if he's like a top-end guy. He's in my second round, but like a bottom six center that can grind and skate and yeah, good. Red Deer was not great this year. They had a rough season. And Hamilton was a bright spot, I thought. I thought he played really well in most of the games I watched. Hat tip to David Sod in our Discord server for yelling and screaming about him. And then finally I watched him and I went, yeah, this guy's pretty good. But yeah, good player. Montreal is what the Discord is saying. Well, that makes sense because everybody wants everybody. All the Montreal people want everybody to go to Montreal. It's it's almost like that thing that everybody makes fun of Toronto for, but they also do it themselves. It's just, yeah, of course. Everybody is going to be a Montreal Canadian, of course. Larkin versus Heischer or Thomas. I mean, I think they're roughly comparable value. I love Dylan Larkin. I think Larkin is just a fantastic cornerstone center that plays a good version of the modern game. I love him. Yeah, going to Buffalo could be good. Like playing with Tage Thompson. Larkin is the type of center that I'm always focused on, that I'm always looking for. It's why I love and I keep saying it year after year. Like, Detroit had time and time again the opportunity to draft a guy that could be under Dylan Larkin's wing all this time and bring some speed to the middle of that lineup, which I felt like they desperately needed, and they just refused to do it. They just kept adding guy after guy after guy who was kind of good at a lot of stuff and brings decent abilities and a physical game and blah, 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 blah. Hedging their bets, I think, and now you end up with your captain wanting out. Like, I don't know, man. Why is Blyle falling and Lynn? Why is Blyle raising and Lynn falling? Well, I watched Lynn back. I did a report on him immediately after the Blyle one, and with Lynn, I think they're sort of cut from the same cloth. But I very much trust the skating ability with Blyle more than Lynn. then that's a huge difference maker. Like, Blyle just gets around better than Lynn does. Lynn is younger. That's a benefit for him. But I think that for a couple of offensive defensemen, I put a lot more faith in what Blyle has right now than Lynn. I'd advise against drafting Caleb for Vancouver. It's an awkward situation. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I for me, it's as simple as, like, I just don't think Caleb Malhotra is the third best player in this class. If you believe that, then trade down. I don't know if it were up to me, but I don't know if I believe it. Could he develop? Of course. Everyone will, though. That's the thing. Every player in this draft, you would think, is gonna get better in some way. But one thing that I've learned over the years from watching guys as they develop is most of them, not all, but most, when you zoom out and see their overall impact on the game, where they're comfortable, where they're not comfortable, for a long time, it doesn't change all that much. And then eventually they find a role that works for them at some point. But, like, in terms of their development path and as they get older as a young adult, like, the general vibe of their play style does not really change all that much a lot of the time. Strengths and weaknesses relatively stay somewhat similar. Because it's about, like, hockey is a game of areas where you're comfortable and not comfortable, at least in my experience playing it. Like, like, I play defense a lot. I know areas of the ice where I'm very comfortable and areas of the ice where I'm not comfortable. And can I get better where I'm not comfortable? Sure. But, like, when I move up a level, am I going to be comfortable in that area when I move up a level? I don't know. Probably not. At least not initially. Larkin to Philadelphia is going to go so hard. I mean, yeah, Philadelphia with Larkin would be a ton of fun. Minnesota, I don't know what Minnesota would have to even offer for him, but we'll see. If Detroit gets youth for Larkin, they'd be staring down the barrel of another season of missing the playoffs. Well, look, it's the same thing as Chicago, right? You have been bad pretty much the entire time I've been doing this seriously. You have been those teams. Look at the Anaheim Ducks. They've drafted a ton. They're young as heck. Montreal, they're young. They've got those teams have a lot of youth, and they're in the playoffs with a lot of the guys that they've drafted over the years chipping in very significantly. Especially Anaheim, for that example. And I thought Anaheim played quite well in the playoffs. And at some point, if you are a serious NHL organization that has gone through this sort of rebuild thing, and yet you're still not just going to trust them to do what it is that they're going to do, if you're not going to be doing that at this point, then what are you even doing? Like, what are you doing drafting 10 guys a year if you never, ever, ever give them the keys to the car to see what you've got? Like, yeah, like, I don't know what the alternative is. Like, because clearly what they've been trying to do by surrounding them with veterans is also not working. You know, and like I said this before, like last year, Red Wings fans hated that I had their prospect pool like middle of the road in the league. And my retort was like, well, you've drafted like 100 players and like half of them in my model don't show up very well. So it drags everybody down. And like, this is the ramifications of that, I guess, because your team is not playing them. It's just what I would do if I'm Detroit. Like, you kind of have to. Chicago, it's the same deal with Chicago. Like, you spent all of Connor Bedard's entry-level contract being in the basement of the league. All of it. Not saying you had to turn it around immediately, but I mean, like, the clock is ticking, whether you want it or not, whether you want it to or not. I feel like the clock is starting to tick real fast. Like, I don't want to see Chicago in the basement again. I don't want to see San Jose they weren't in the basement, but I don't want to see San Jose drafting super high. I don't want to see, I don't. Yeah, Elmer Soderblom's a great example. He's not an amazing player, but he was boxed out. Detroit lost him for basically nothing, and look at him in Pittsburgh. Anyway, like at some point, you've got to, like, if you're at this point in a quote unquote rebuild, like Detroit seems to be, and your captain wants out, and you have to basically start from scratch, you would hope that after drafting this much over the years that you have enough in the tank to at least stay a good team in some way, even though you're losing a key player. Otherwise, what have you been doing? What's the point in rebuilding if the building part is never trustworthy in your books? Right? And look at Anaheim. Like, Anaheim played a lot of kids the last couple of years, for better or worse. They swap out Greg Cronin for Joel Quenneville. Controversial, but they did it. And look at them now. Took some time, took some growing pains, but they have a lot of good young players getting better and better and better. That's what you do. It's the whole chicken and egg thing, right? Like, oh, we can't play our kids in the playoffs because they don't have playoff experience. Well, how do they get playoff experience? Like, oh, like we need our veterans to, like, guide the young guys. What young guys? They're all in the minors. Like, what are we doing here? Anyway, I don't know. And I mean, it is very interesting now that at this point, now Dylan Larkin, the captain of the team, is like, I want out. Connor McDavid, take some notes, man. I mean, he's made the playoffs a lot, but that's just rage bait. Thoughts on the fact that Preston is listed at the combine at 5'11", 176, being compared to McKenna at 5'11", 170. Well, it's a shame they're all 5'11". Scouts might be worried about how tall they are. Buffalo's number one center is Josh Norris. I mean, sure. I mean, adding Larkin to that would make a lot of sense. Who do you think is the mysterious, very good young forward Kent Hughes wanted and tried to trade for? The trade might happen on draft day. It is your favorite player. It is whoever you love the most. It is your favorite. I mean, Michkov. Montreal, after all that, getting Michkov anyway would be really fun. Lawrence needs to be mentored on the hockey side of things by Dylan Larkin. Exactly. Like, that's the type of player that I've wanted Detroit to pick up for so long. Like, who was the... I'm trying to think of some examples from the past, but like Brad Lambert. Like, hey, Brad Lambert, here's Dylan Larkin. Hey, Marat Huznadinov, here's Dylan Larkin. Hey, who else could you bring up? I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know, like in 2022, who could have been available? Did Detroit take, was that the year they took Danielson? Oh no, they didn't have a first round pick that year, I don't think. Oh no, they had 8, they took Casper. Yeah. Casper's fine. Can't complain too much about Casper. Yeah, Noah Ostlund. Like, Ostlund was available. I didn't have Ostlund, I had Ostlund a spot higher than Casper, but nevertheless. Wild times. Yeah, the Jets getting Larkin and stopping playing Lambert. Yeah, that would be great. Could Montreal be able to trade for a Thomas or Larkin without including Gage? I'm thinking, no, probably not. Like, if you throw Reinbacher in there, there's uncertainty. There's too much uncertainty. 2023 was Danielson, okay. Like Frank Nazar in Detroit. You know, I don't know. Like, it's I don't know. I don't know what you do. Chase Reed's not a number one defenseman and Maholter's not a number one center. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody can be compared to that level. Like, I don't think it's, don't think it's very common for someone to come along at 17 and be like, that guy can line up against Connor McDavid and I'd be comfortable with that job. Like, that's the question you have to ask, right? Is this a player that I could be comfortable with putting on the ice against Connor McDavid, against Leon Draisaitl, against Jack Hughes, against Quinn Hughes, even against Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar? Like, those are the guys. Like, when a player is 17 years old, I can identify that they are capable of handling that job. If you can find players like that anywhere outside of the first overall pick once in a while, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think there's that many of them. Could some develop into that? Maybe, potentially, but you don't know. That's a tall order. That's a big ask. Like, it's why I'm conservative about where I project players to be in a few years, because it's like, I don't know. I'd rather, like, set the bar low and be like, this is what I reasonably think you could be, and if you surprise me, then so be it. That's awesome. Unless a player clearly identifies something to me where I'm like, against the best in the league, I don't know what they're going to do about this guy. But there's not that many of them. And, like, if people are telling you that there are number one defensemen and number one centers and all these things available, and it happens every year, then, like, they're just either lying to you or they're just not thinking about it enough. It's not. The NHL is crazy. It's crazy. I don't know. In the NLL, the Toronto Rock had their owner and general manager draft his kid in the second round of the draft, but it's worked out. He's treated like everyone else. Sure, in the second round, you know. Sure. I don't think that it's easy to just point at it and go, well, it won't work because they're father and son. Like, I don't think that's the case. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work because they're father and son. Like, to me, it adds, like, very little value. It adds very little value. It's some value, but it doesn't add much. Not turning Casper into a proper and productive player, and ditto for Danielson. Well, I would say that they overvalued those player styles, especially Danielson. Danielson in the top 10 was crazy. Casper, I can at least understand, but Casper, if you watched the show back in those days, Casper, I remember very distinctly saying he's pretty clearly a third liner, but a good one, right? Like, he's not, I don't think he's a top 6 guy unless he's a power winger in the top 6, maybe a transition focused guy up the middle of the ice on your second line, maybe. But for me, it was pretty obvious that he was a guy where I'm like, if he's your third line guy on the wing, then that's awesome. But Danielson was one where I was just like, that one makes no sense. I don't know where that one's coming from. So, like, you know, Detroit clearly has a type in the draft, and now at the end of the day, they're not going very far. I don't know. Sorry, I'm catching up on the chat here. Do you think Bjork is big enough to be an NHL center? He's only 5'9". He needs to be 6 feet. Yeah, exactly. I mean, his brother is 6'2", and Bjork is pretty young, right? Like, if you're going to use the argument, think of what Caleb Malhotra can be in 5 years. Well, then what about Bjork? Because his brother is tall. Apparently his parents are pretty tall. Like, what if in 12 months, Viggo Bjork is 5'11"? All he needs is this. Let me just get the, like, he needs to be this, not this. If he's this and not this, give him 2 years. He's still 17. He's only 17. He might still grow a little. You don't know. Where's his bone growth charts? Where's the Lane Hudson bone growth charts? Then you're going to look awfully silly. You know, it's like, well, if you're going to leave certain things up to chance or probabilities, why aren't you doing that either? You know what I mean? I know your question's also kind of tongue-in-cheek. Ken Hughes could trade for Wright in his draft day as that mysterious player. Sure, I guess. What would be the package? They could do it easily, I think. Montreal would have the pieces to do it if they wanted to. I don't know what it would look like, but they have options. What exactly is the motivation for increasing the draft age to 19? I get the feeling it would be because they want less development time, like less uncertainty, which I would agree with. I think that it would make sense. Like, I think they would want to be more in line with other professional leagues where there's less developmental stuff and they get time to finish school. They have more time to develop and physically train and not have to worry about the rigors of the NHL and all of that stuff. I get it. I honestly, in my books, I don't care how old the draft ages are. Frankly, if I had my way, I would kill the draft in general. But if they're going to raise the age, then they raise the age. There's reasons to do it. There's also reasons not to. There's no real right answer, I don't think, in that discussion. Just depends. Yeah, the NBA. Yeah. Scouting agencies have Svens going in the late second or third. What's the disconnect? Well, visibility is one. I don't think he's played in front of enough eyeballs as much as other guys. And two, I mean, yeah, there are hockey sense problems with him, I think. I think he is a guy that can sort of, especially moving the puck, like, he can be a little bit questionable. But, I mean, I still think he's one of the best skating defensemen out there. And, like, that alone has a lot of value. Like, if you're taken with Chase Reed when he's carrying the puck, well, let me show you Verdi Svensk carrying the puck. If you're worried about hockey sense and you have Dax and Rudolph in the top 10, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. And Verdi Svensk in the fourth round are unranked, right? Like, the guy played on the wing in Liga, and by the end of his experience playing wing, I thought he looked pretty good playing on the wing. The guy throws hits. He is a very mobile defenseman as well. He's not just a good forward skater. He is extremely good on his feet. He's 6'1". I don't want to hear that he's undersized. I saw in the EP draft guide they called him undersized. He's 6'1". Like, I think he just plays a style of defense that people are uncomfortable with, and they saw him, or they haven't really seen him. Like, Saipa does not make a ton of NHL talent over the years. He's an unconventional story. It's the same thing with Viggo Sørensen. Unconventional stories are always a tougher sell. But when I watch him play, I go, I don't know, this guy's not that much farther behind than a lot of other guys this year. And I'd rather take a chance on him and try to develop him and slow him down a little bit from time to time. Because also the numbers are really good. Like, in a lot of ways, the numbers are really good for him. Which you can't say for a lot of guys in this draft class. So something's going right. What were Danielson's metrics in 2023? That's a good question. Let's see. Can I pull it up? I also eventually will have to get out of here. Nate Danielson, where are you? No, I don't want that. There it is. Oh. I remember them not being very good. Oh my god. Okay. I'm trying to log in. I'm trying to get there. 2023 game tracking NHL draft. There it is. It's in my other email account here. Can I pull it up here? Is it going to let me? So I can share it with my favorite people in the world? In the meantime, yes, I can. Okay, one moment here. Nathaniel Danielson. Nathaniel Danielson. All right. Here. this is kind of what you're going to get. Oh, the crop is a little funky, but yeah, Danielson played center, so there's that. This I like a lot of it is okay. Decently physical, pretty efficient in transition without amazing results. Brutal shooting metrics, more of a playmaker with mixed results. Yeah, like Danielson's numbers are fine, especially moving the puck. My thing with Danielson was that all he did was yes, we can zoom in. Oh, that's not gonna do it. My thing with Danielson was that he was like, get the puck, get up the ice, and just either pop it on net or put it out in front of the ice. It was very sort of just give me the puck, get up the ice, put it in front. And that to me is just not a super repeatable way to do things. And he just kind of really came and went. It was just very mixed with him. You know, like, yeah, he passed the puck a decent amount. A lot of them, 21% going to the slot is a pretty high number. Success a third of the time is okay. But yeah, like the defending was questionable. Not bad, but not great. And the shooting metrics are not great. So I don't know. I had Danielson like beginning of the second round or something like that. I did not think the world of him. At least not in the top 10. Maybe in the middle to late first round I would have thought about it, but not top 10. Wallstedt or Gustafsson in a Larkin deal. Well, but Detroit has John Gibson and they've got Sebastian Koza and Trey Augustine. Like, I don't know what they would need a goaltender for. What would you kill the draft? What would you do? I mean, I've kind of talked about this before, and then I got to run after this. Where'd I have Lane Hudson in his draft year? I think 24, 22, 24. What year was he drafted? 2022? Right, it was 2022 because it was in Montreal. Yeah, I had Hudson at 24 that year. Where did I have Leonard, Benson, Perreault, and Crystal in 2023? I had who do I have? Leonard I had at 13. Benson I had at 8. Perreault I had at 22. And Crystal I had at 17. And I would say I still stand by that. Yeah. Maybe I had Perreault a few spots too low, but we'll see. Those guys are still coming along. Yeah, if I could kill the draft, I'd replace it with some sort of a capped free agency system with limitations so you can't just go crazy. Where'd I have Ben Kindle last year? In the teens? Did you expect that much upside out of Hudson? Yes. It's just he was really boom or bust. He was genuinely problematic at that age, but he improved his skating ability extremely significantly and got a lot better defensively, even in the NHL, especially in the NHL over the last 2 seasons. Kindle I had at 17 last year. 21st on Central Scouting's list, by the way. Yeah. Kindle I had at 17, and I still feel pretty comfortable about that. I think I had him as high as like 11 at one point, but like that group is really close. I had him in a group with Hensler, Desnoyers, O'Brien, Bear, Martin, Zanon, Lakovic. All those guys were in the same tier. It was a big tier, but I liked him a lot. Could Preston fall to the 20s? Dude, Preston could fall to the 40s. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Okay. Well, I think unless there are stream in the short stream here, the stats guy would like your thoughts as penalty minutes being a fantasy stat. I don't think they belong as a. I don't think that's true. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to take off then. I got to run, and honestly, not going to lie, I got to pee. So thanks for watching. We'll be back Monday night. Again, Scouching Report tomorrow. We got a bunch more coming down the pipe. If you're a member of the Discord server, we're still doing office hours, but they're going to change gears to just watching the video I've got back, bouncing around, finalizing the rankings, all that stuff. So we're going to have some fun. Mock draft registration is open to Discord members as well. Well, any subscribers, honestly, but that's where you access it. And what else is going on? I don't know. If you haven't played with my simulator, it's good. It's a good time. And what was I going to say? Yeah, I will stay tuned. I will be also putting the I'll put it out on my community tab as well, but I'm going to be scheduling the draft week streams today or tomorrow. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll do this all over again. It was great. This was a good one. Quite the news with Dylan Larkin. That's pretty wild. But anyway, all the best, and be safe, be kind. Again, shout out Mike the Lost and Found guy. Be more like Mike. Be like Mike. There you go. And the person who returned my wallet, whoever they are, nameless person. Those people, they're gems. Keep it in mind. Okay, bye.